Well guys, it's that time of year again. Time to look at my top 5 personal favorite games of 2013. Now, 2013 was a huge year for the industry. There's no denying that. The 8th generation of consoles has finally begun, and there has been plenty of controversy and big news and blah blah blah. Long story short, SimCity is still terrible. Of course, with any list, expect these to be chosen based on personal preference. And also keep in mind that there were just some games that I just didn't get around to in time for this list. These are games like GTA 5, Papers, Please, Super Mario 3D World, the list goes on. So with that said, let's get started. This is my top 5 games of 2013. Metal Gear Rising. It's fast, it's crazy, it's fun, it's dumb, and sometimes it's too dumb. I'm sorry, but really? Really? But despite that stupid kid, I love this game. Platinum Games is known for great character action games, and Metal Gear Rising is no exception. It may have Metal Gear in the title, but the last thing you want from this game is stealth action. The stealth here, it's not great. It's all about the combat and cutting stuff up. And man, cutting stuff up is satisfying. If you're gonna make a Metal Gear action game, you gotta make it as over the top as possible. You have to take this and make it into a whole game. And looking at these boss fights, I would say they did just that. Everything in Rising is over the top and ridiculous, from the combat, to the bosses, to the environments, even to the plot itself. And yeah, the plot's kinda stupid, but it's hard to care when you're doing stuff like this. Or this. Or this. Rising doesn't take itself seriously, it's just here to have fun. And fun it was. It's a short game, but there's plenty of replayability with the multiple difficulty settings, and the allure of mastering that combat system. Combat in this game is pretty tough, and it's really satisfying to master it. So if you like character action games, go check this out. It's a great game.
Adios, amigos.
Pokemon X and Y. This one was a surprise for me. Now, I've played every single Pokemon game since Gen 1, but I wouldn't really consider myself a hardcore Pokemon player. I rarely finish Pokemon games for multiple reasons, but the biggest reason being I get sick of seeing the same Pokemon on every single route. I'm looking at you, Black and White. Let's just say that if there is ever a Watchog genocide, I might be the one who leads it. So originally I wasn't even gonna pick up X, but then after a whole bunch of people at my dorm got in and started showing off, well, it started to look pretty good. Pretty good. After that, I bought it, finished it, and I gotta say, I was impressed. My favorite thing about X is that there's a really nice variety of all the previous generations. You won't be seeing the same Sentret, Zigzagoon, or Bidoof every 5 minutes. There's actually a lot of really nice variety. And on top of that, there are a lot of cool new additions to the Pokemon formula. Mega Evolutions? Cool. Character customization? Awesome. A new type? Fantastic. Enhanced multiplayer and new ways to raise Pokemon? Spectacular. It's all these little things that add up to make X and Y arguably the best games in the series. I'd say go pick it up, but if you have a 3DS, you probably already have this. Oh, and favorite new Pokemon? Esper. Some people find him creepy. I find him adorable. Look at those eyes. Aw. He's not evil, he just has no emotions. BioShock Infinite. I feel like a lot has already been said about this, so I'll be brief. As far as gameplay is concerned, BioShock is a solid first-person shooter with interesting powers and really cool enemy designs. I mean, just look at Songbird here. You can't say this design isn't cool. I just wish he was in more of the game because for as much as they build him up, he's barely in the game at all. And honestly, that's a little disappointing. But anyway, the real driving force behind BioShock Infinite is the story and the setting. The land of Columbia is an incredibly interesting and detailed place which is one part beautiful and about 2,000 parts twisted and disgusting. It's all the little details within the environment, whether it be readings, artwork, architecture, These all help flesh out Columbia as an actual world, and it's really interesting to see how Columbia falls. Throw in a crazy plot with some extremely memorable characters like Elizabeth or the Luteces, and you have yourself one hell of a game.
Surprising.
Surprising that it worked.
Surprising that it didn't kill him.
But a magnetic repulsive field around one's body can come in handy.
If it doesn't kill you.
A fair point.
Envision this scenario. It is 2003. You are a kid between the ages of 8 and 12, and you have been given the rare chance at getting yourself a brand new game. So you wander around Best Buy looking for games to play when you stumble across Fire Emblem on the Game Boy Advance. Now at the time, this was the first entry in the series that was made available in North America, and as a result, you know literally nothing about this franchise, aside from that Marth was in Smash Bros. And he was the shit! So you begin the game thinking that it's just like Advance Wars, only with a little bit of Final Fantasy peppers sprinkled in. So anyway, you make your way through the first few tutorial levels until you come across your very first Pegasus Night. And if you were dumb like me, this probably happened.
La 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 la, la 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 la. Boy, I enjoy living out here in the open. Ow, 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 ow. Oh dear.
Now, when I first lost this character, I didn't really think much of it because the character was still in cutscenes, so I assumed that she would just be back after a couple missions, kind of like in Star Fox. But eventually I realized that was not the case. I realized that permadeath was a huge key factor in what makes Fire Emblem, Fire Emblem. And being 10 years old, it felt really overwhelming. I was always too paranoid of losing way too many of my units to the point that I wouldn't be able to make any more progress in the game. So for a long time, I felt like that series was just really hard to approach. That is, until Fire Emblem Awakening. I can't say whether or not this is the best Fire Emblem, but I think it's definitely the best entry point in the series. The core gameplay is still intact, complete with the rock, paper, scissors system and the class system. But the biggest change to the game is the support system. Now, supports have been in previous Fire Emblem games, but not to the same extent that Awakening has them. Basically, what the support system does is that when your units are next to each other or paired with each other, they will become more powerful. And as you defeat enemies in pairings, certain units will gain levels in support. And when you max out those supports, certain characters can even get married and have kids, which unlocks special side missions where you can add those kids to your army. And those kids will have inherited skills and stats from the parents. The support system gives the game a lot more depth while also giving you a lot more reason to invest in your characters. It's actually really fun to see all the conversations between your soldiers. And it's kind of funny to see a couple characters paired up when they have nothing in common. In conclusion, Awakening is a nice, deep, challenging, and addicting strategy RPG that serves as a fantastic entry point for newcomers to the series. And yes, while you can turn off permadeath, I have to advise against it. Permadeath is a core trait of Fire Emblem, and I do not think you should take that away. And here's some advice if you're having trouble. Long Q, Killing Edge. Crits 24/7.
Silence. Who dies next?
Well guys, before we get to number 1, I want to take a brief moment to look at some of the games that I played this year and loved, but didn't quite make the cut. Now regardless, these are all fantastic games that I can highly recommend. These games include Volgar the Viking, Dive Kick, Mighty Switch Force 2, Bit Trip Runner 2, The Stanley Parable, The Last of Us, Brothers, A Tale of Two Sons, Phoenix Wright Dual Destinies, and finally, The Legend of Zelda, A Link Between Worlds. This one in particular was tough to cut. I got this fairly recently and I'm loving it, but unfortunately I'm only halfway through, and since I haven't finished it, I can't include it on this list. Sorry guys, but I have to draw the line somewhere. Anyway, let's move on. Well guys, I gotta say, my favorite game of the year came out of nowhere. I always knew it was gonna be in my top 5, but I never expected it to be in my number 1 spot. The more I thought about it, the more I realized just how much fun I had with this game. My personal favorite game of 2013 is Rogue Legacy. Until a sequel for this comes out, I'll be coming back to this time and time again. For me, this is easily the best playing game of the year. The controls in this game? Silky smooth. Everything about walking, jumping, and dashing feels super tight and super responsive, but man oh man, attacking stuff with the sword is the best. The length, the aesthetics, the slight delay between hitting the button and when the sword actually hits, the way enemies are knocked back depending on your character's traits. I even love the way your character holds the sword because it gives you a really good sense of where it's gonna hit. The game holds your interest with the way it plays and also the way it randomly generates content. Not only are the levels randomly generated, but so are the characters. At the start of each run, you are presented with 3 characters to choose from, each with a class and a set of genetic traits. These genetic traits can range from really small aesthetic traits like baldness or coprolalia, to much crazier traits that change the game in fundamental ways. These are traits such as dementia or gigantism or, God forbid, vertigo. I swear, if there's anyone who can complete this game in one run using a character with vertigo, they are either a god or the biggest cheater ever, because this game is balls clenchingly hard. And I love it. Yeah, make no mistake, this game is hard, but it's not punishing. Your runs are only gonna last for a few minutes, but if you make your goal not necessarily to defeat the bosses, but to get enough gold for upgrades, you will always make progress. The upgrades tree provides a really fantastic sense of progression. It always makes you want to come back and try to unlock everything, whether it's a new class or a new ability or an upgraded version of a class. It's stuff like this that makes it so easy for me to come back to Rogue Legacy. I'm actually in the middle of New Game Plus and I'm still having a blast with it. The controls are great and the way things are randomly generated keep the game from getting stale. And the high difficulty complements that. Without a doubt, it's my personal favorite game of 2013 and I can only hope that it gets a sequel. 2013 was a great year for games and with the new generation just starting, let's hope 2014 is even better. Hey, thanks for watching guys. As always, let me know what your personal picks for 2013's best games of the year are in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video and would like to see more, well, you can click on those little annotations right there and they'll lead you to more of my top 10s and top 5s. Once again, thanks for watching and I'll see you later guys. Have a good one.